Hello viewers, in this video, I am going to cover class. Let's begin. In the first program, I am going to cover basics of class. Class is collection of related variables and functions. Variables handle data in class, and functions perform tasks using data. I have created class, called name. Created public variables, or class members, called first name and last name, which are available for external access. Declared and created class function displayName, to display name. Created private members, called account number and balance, and assigned default value as 111, which cannot be accessed externally. In the main function, I have created object for class name, called n. Assigned values to members of class object, and calling function displayName, to display name. In the next program, I am going to cover class member function overloading. I have created two member functions, with same name, called displayName. First function is having only 2 parameters, and second function is having 3 parameters. Created object of class name, called n, and assigned first name, middle name, and last name, to class object members. Calling the function displayName, with first name and last name, to display name. And calling function displayName, with first name, middle name, and last name, to display full name. In the next program, I am going to cover pointer to member function. I have created class operation, with 2 member functions. That is addition and multiplication. Created pointer for function, called pfunc, and assigned value as 0. Created pointer ptr, for class operation. Pointing the pointer for function, pfunc to addition, and calling the function, using pointer. Pointing the pointer for function, pfunc to multiplication, and calling the function, using pointer. And deallocating memory for pointer ptr. In the next program, I am going to cover pointer array to member function. I have created pointer array for function, called pfunc, and assign array, with values addition and multiplication. Created pointer ptr, for class operation. Pointing the pointer for function, pfunc to first element of array that is addition, and calling the function, using pointer. Pointing the pointer for function, pfunc to second element of array that is multiplication, and calling the function, using pointer. And deallocating memory for pointer ptr. In the next program, I am going to cover Constructor and Destructor. I have created class name, with members as char pointer first name and last name. Declared constructor, called name. Constructor name should be same as name of class. If we don't define constructor, compiler creates default constructor, with no parameters, and empty body. Declared destructor, called tilde name. Destructor should be named as tilde class name. And member function, called displayName. In the constructor, I am allocating memory for pointer. In the destructor, I am deallocating memory for pointer. And in displayName member function, I am displaying name. In the main function, I have created object for class name, called n. Assigned values to members of class object. And calling function displayName, to display name. Compiler is giving warning, because, in C, string will be considered as char pointer. Whereas, in C++, string will be considered as constant char array, and conversion from const char pointer to char pointer is not possible without explicit cast, for safety reasons. but we can make the compiler to ignore the warning using preprocessor directive #pragma gcc diagnostic ignore write strings. In the next program, I am going to cover constructor overloading. I have created class name with members of string first name and last name, and assigned default value and integer height. Define constructor name with no parameters and with one parameter, which is nothing but constructor overloading. I am using constructor name without parameter to display name, and constructor name with one parameter to display height. In the main function, I am creating object for class name called n without parameter, which calls constructor without parameter, and another object for class name called n1 with parameter, which calls constructor with parameter. Destructor cannot be overloaded. In the next program, I am going to cover copy constructor. I have created class name with members as string first name and last name. Member function, display name, to display name. Constructor name, which prints constructor. Copy constructor, which copies content of members of class. In the main function, I am creating object for class name called n1, which calls constructor name, assigning values to members of class object n1, copying the values of members of class n1 to n2 using copy constructor, and displaying the name using members of object n2. In the next program, I am going to cover this pointer. This pointer is used to point to individual object in which function is running. In the previous program, we can use this pointer in copy constructor to indicate we are copying values to members of current class object. In the next program, I am going to cover static class member. Static member variables are shared between objects of class. I have created class counter with members as static int count and assigned value as 0. Created constructor counter to increment count and display value. In the main function, I am creating 5 objects of class counter, which calls constructor counter to display count value. In the next program, I am going to cover namespace. Namespace is used to avoid conflict with global identifiers. I have created namespace called name with variables as string first name and last name with default values, and display name function to display name. In the main function, I am calling display name function in namespace name to display name. Using directive allows to import all identifiers in namespace. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you are preparing for interview, you can buy eBook on C++ program interview questions from the Amazon link given in the description below. Please like this video, click on subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you won't miss any video updates. Thanks for watching this video.